Hi, Lynn Christian from Soul Salt, and I'm interviewing an individual that I've had the chance to work with, not only in business classes, but also as a coach and as a training peer at Jim Jones. And I'd like to invite her to talk to us about her journey from the moment she realized she wanted to be a pole dancer until this very month where she's actually acquired a championship. Angela, I'd love to know, how did you actually encounter pole for the very first time? And when you encountered it, how did you experience it? What happened?
So I remember seeing a video for the first time, and I was absolutely stunned because I had no idea that it was a thing. But also I remember feeling just so excited and felt myself falling in love. Everything in my body and my heart, just said, yes, this is amazing. I want to do this. And my competitive nature said also, I want to be one of the best at this. And I grew up doing gymnastics and my whole life just loving dance. And it seemed like the perfect blending of those two elements. And so it resonated with me on a very deep level.
Now, I know you said you fell in love with pole dancing, but it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. Once you got really clear that you wanted to do it, there seemed to be a journey of work and also a year of having a conversation inside your head. So tell us what happened next.
I went very quickly after that and took my first pole class with my friend Jessica, and I loved it. However, I realized really quickly how difficult it was and how hard I was needing to work, as well as how much time I was going to need to put in to be able to get to the level that I knew I wanted to be at.
Angela, you and I have spoken about this experience in the past where you realized that you loved this, it was a legitimate thing you could just pour your soul into, but you also realized you had an aha moment, and I remember that day. So I wonder if you would tell the audience about that day, what we were doing, where you truly realized that this was a thing and not just a hobby. This was a serious aspect that could become part of your future business model. So tell the audience what you experienced and where you were.
It's interesting looking back. We all have things that we want to do and things that we want to pursue. But we also have stories that tell us why we can't or why we shouldn't. And it took me probably 2 years of just dreaming about it and not really acting on it and not really making that time for myself and not really believing in myself that I was worth that and that I would be able to achieve that. Eventually, I got myself into, a lot more positive, optimistic place. I had a wonderful, supportive relationship. I had wonderful, supporting friends. And I just dug in one day and said, we'll see how this goes. I don't know if I'm ever going to be the best, but I'm going to try my best and see what happens because I wanted it just as bad then as I always had. And I just threw myself in, made the time for it, and I was surprised at how quickly I was able to progress.
Angela, if you could just pause right there for just a second. Let's talk about some of the, I'm going to call them hoops you jumped through, the patience you had, the competitions you attended. And let's just go back a moment and talk about momentum and what you had to do to work up to this win, this championship.
As soon as I committed to working consistently and every time going into a class, working hard and telling myself I was going to push myself, I got a lot of progress fairly quickly. I was surprised at how fast I gained strength and was able to move up. And I threw myself into competitions. I highly recommend that to anybody. It's important to compete because for me, I learned so much about myself as a person, but also my style and my way of doing pole. Although there's a lot of skill and technicality, there's an artistry aspect that is my favorite thing to explore. And the only way you can get through that, as well as gain in your technicality and your skill level, is to do the work and to just put the hours in and to have those experiences. And the ball of positive momentum just started rolling, and people and things that were unsupportive of this started falling out of my life. People that were more supportive and other things and habits, that I was more drawn to started coming into my life. I remember a very poignant point on my journey was a business class with Lynn, and I was actually there for my massage therapy business. And this was very early on. She was asking questions, who are you as a business? What's important to your business? What's important to you as a person? And it was such an eye-opening moment for me, because I had realized I had never asked myself so point blankly these questions. Growing up, I was always told, this is who you are, this is what's important to you, this is what you should do and pursue. So asking myself those questions with my massage therapy business, with life, with pole dancing, I realized it was a wonderful demonstration of having that mental attitude and mental focus being so important. Because once I got those ideas into place, and once I was clear on what was important to me, that really served as gas in the tank, and I was able to, draw from that all of the time. Every day, that's something that I'm able to draw on, especially when things get challenging. It puts things in perspective. And so that was a really helpful part of my journey.
Angela, let's talk a moment about a technical side other than the artistry and the pole side of your work and the business side. Let's talk about the athletic side, because this is where you and I have actually been able to be peers in some of the same training groups. And I think it's important that you tell people what else you were doing to feed the athlete, because a pole dancer is indeed a professional athlete. So talk to that side.
Also, starting to train at Jim Jones was very, very important and helpful for me, because I was surrounded by really hardworking, positive individuals, and it helped me work through mostly, I had these negative stories with physical activity and physical work, and so working through that, actually having those experiences and finding out how strong I actually was and how far I could actually push myself, carried over to everything in what I did in pole. And like I say, it's that positive momentum. It just keeps going. And I competed a lot, and I took second place a lot. I took third place. I didn't even get on the podium. And, until this last competition that I took first place in at the U.S. Aerial Competition in New York, really it was just coming more and more to terms with believing in myself. And I truly do believe that those things that people are called to do, that no matter how they differ from what they are currently doing, or how different their life would change, or if they have the lack of support now, those things that call to people on a visceral level, those are really, those people should be doing. And that's really where their gifts lie. And I learned that a lot about myself through this journey, and how I can really affect positive change through pole dancing. Yeah, I would say that's the most important thing, is to believe in yourself and to have people around you that believe in you. Because everything else, all that negativity, those are just the blocks. That's not the reality of any of it. It's just what's holding you back.
I want to thank Angela for visiting with us here at Soul Salt, and leave a strong message for all of you that when you fall in love with something, when something captures your heart, pay attention, dive into it, and don't allow those moments, those dark moments of the soul, where you don't know what you're going to do with it, and you don't know if you actually can do it. Don't allow those to dominate. Allow the passion, allow the connection you have with this thing, and let that be the seed that grows.